Hi, Rachel.
Hi, Marc.
How are you?
It is Friday before the holiday break when we're recording this, and I am so excited.
Yeah. So, what's kind of funny is everyone will tell in a couple of minutes that we're not wearing the same clothes after we get through this part, which is funny because we're recording this part after we recorded the main part. So, yes, we're
Unless
wearing.
I put back on my morning sweater. It's really cold here right now, so I have my neck wrap on, and I can't remember what I wore when we recorded the main session. I might have put on my morning sweater and
What's
morning
really
scarf.
sad is I can't remember what you wore either.
Yeah.
And now I can't even blame that on the brain tumor. So,
Yay,
whatever.
no brain tumor. That's a good outcome.
It is.
Yes.
Anyway, our sponsor tonight is Securely. And
Mhm.
tonight, the Securely message will be coming from a dear friend of mine, Nicole Bourbons, who is joining us from sunny Southern California or Central California, Northern California.
Oh, a dear friend. Where do you live, Nicole?
She lives in San Jose. I don't know where things are in California. I have no idea. But yes, thank you for joining us tonight, Nicole, and take it away.
All right. Thank you so much. I am truly excited to be here. ACPE is my favorite conference of the year for so many reasons. It brings together district leaders from Oregon and Washington to the beautiful Skamania Lodge for a few days of learning, meaningful connection, and let's be honest, a lot of fun. I am especially honored to be here today alongside Marc and Rachel. Like Marc said, my name is Nicole Bourbons. I am the Enterprise Customer Success Manager for the West Coast, supporting Securely districts with 10,000 plus students. I joined Securely in 2019 and plan to be here for the long haul. I truly value my work here and I deeply believe in our mission to keep students safe online. I've been fortunate to build some truly meaningful relationships with my customers and key district leaders over the years. I'm usually always me, and they know that. We have an incredible team here at Securely, some of whom you've met alongside me at various ACPE events. I first met Marc in 2020 in CCE conference in Seattle, right as the pandemic was beginning. And I met Rachel a few years later at my very first ACPE event. And it's been an absolute pleasure working with and getting to know both of them and building such strong, lasting partnerships.
Can I jump in with something really quickly?
Yes.
We were actually sitting in the lobby of the hotel with the technology TOSAs from the Olympia School District because my boss had called and said, we're shutting things down.
Mm-hmm.
And so we had a meeting in the lobby of the hotel and Nicole goes trotting by because I think you went to go work out or something. And I was like, oh, hey, I'll see you later because I'm leaving and going back to Olympia.
Okay, so let's dive into Securely. So today, districts are tasked with protecting students both online and offline across devices, platforms, and learning environments, all while supporting well-being, engagement, and learning outcomes. Traditional web filtering alone isn't enough anymore. Securely delivers a unified student safety and wellness platform built for K-12 schools. At the heart of Securely's platform is Safety OS, a unified ecosystem that brings together web filtering, wellness monitoring, classroom management, campus safety tools, and next generation AI transparency under a single system. This is a major shift from siloed point products. Safety OS gives districts a single pane of visibility and control across all student safety and engagement functions. With Safety OS, schools can see more of what's happening online and inside AI tools. They can respond faster to at-risk students. You can streamline workflows by sharing insights across the teams. You can support decision-making with actionable data and alerts, all while maintaining privacy, compliance, and transparency that districts can trust. So why should districts choose Securely? It's a unified platform. We have proactive alerts and intervention, support for modern learning, because we know the K-12 space is always changing and we need to change with it. Compliance and privacy, and then we're scalable and cloud native. Securely isn't just about blocking bad content. It's about giving educators a connected, intelligent, and future-ready safety ecosystem that supports student well-being, responsible AI use, engaged learning, and operational confidence across the entire district. You'll see me every year at ACPE and see why I work with Securely. I would love to explore how this Securely safety operations system sets us apart from other solutions in this space, and how our connected student-centric approach can help your district empower students and protect your school community today and into the future. And of course, I really just want to thank Marc and Rachel and the entire ACPE community. You have all been incredible. It's been a true pleasure working with so many of you that might be either listening or watching today. I genuinely look forward to continuing these partnerships, building new ones, and ensuring your district is always receiving the highest level of service. So thank you.
And thank you.
Thank you, Nicole. So, Nicole,
Yes.
for those watching, when you mentioned some people might be watching, just everybody note that Marc's hairline is not even. It's crooked. That's the note for this evening.
I'm not going to... Okay. So obviously everybody, I think at this point in time, knows what's happened to me. I am now wondering, because my hairline did not used to be even, and this is the side that they did all the work on, I wonder if they pulled my scalp back a little bit.
Oh, that's a good hypothesis.
Yeah.
I mean, it's still straight.
It doesn't look
it just
bad. It gives character.
Yes. There you go. It's a great way to describe it. So
right.
Nicole Securely has
Yes.
a lot of esteem in our ACPE community, and it's mentioned often and recommended often in conversations. As someone who came on in 2019, I imagine there's been some change in terms of that student safety and wellness part.
It's true.
And this is a tough time of year. When we were using Securely years ago, before the Olympia School District uses Securely, we were getting the health alerts, but we weren't using the monitoring piece from Securely, where a human being actually is reviewing those alerts as they come through. And I remember getting one on Christmas Eve. And it, in my opinion, and I am not a doctor and I'm not a counselor, but it seemed pretty serious to me. This is a difficult time of year for a lot of people, students included. So we are very fortunate to have a system in here that's watching and looking to see how it can help when we are not able to do it ourselves because we're not at school.
Or you might be sleeping, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and we've had that too, but I do want to let Nicole talk, but I just want to mention one more thing, because we've known each other for so long. When Nicole said that, it's in her, she just loves what she does. It's true. I've heard her say it a number of times. I have heard her say, I'm in it for the mission of saving kids. And it wasn't for this podcast. It was in a completely different conversation. So I can certainly attest to that statement.
I feel really lucky to have almost stumbled upon this role and grown with it as Securely has grown, because when I first started, we looked very different. And now, we just launched a product within our filtering solution called an AI transparency platform. And it is really exciting.
And shout out to Securely's swag last year at the conference. They gave out flashlights so people could find their way to the tree houses.
That's right. That was
actually very cool.
And very important.
Yeah, it was great.
No stumbling.
Especially the first night where we had a lighting challenge.
Oh, Rachel, I guess retroactively, we're going to say we're getting on to the main part of our podcast here, even though we did that 2 days ago.
Yes.
So thank you, Nicole, for joining us. Thank you, Securely, for the sponsorship. And we will see you soon.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
I have some ketchup.
Yes.
It's the Portland brand ketchup.
The Portland, that is the best ketchup.
It is the best ketchup.
Yes. Okay.
All right, you ready?
Okay, now we can do our 3, 2, 1.
Hi, Rachel.
Hi, Marc.
How are you?
I'm good. We've had some raucous weather that you all started with it in Seattle and in the Sound area, and now it's spreading south and east across Oregon.
Yeah, last night for me, I stood and watched the transformers exploding all over the place, and it looked like lightning. Probably watched 20 of them go. When the trees are bending over from the wind, and you could see when the transformers would start to blow, you knew there was a big gust coming your way, and it was really interesting. So, but we're here. Everything's good. And I'm glad you're good. I think the snow is coming your way now or something.
Getting close. Yes. And we had severe wind overnight. Every once in a while we've had that, but I don't remember in my 20 years or so here having a night as loud and forceful as last night.
Yeah, we were talking before we really started getting on here. You thought it reminded you of what?
Yes, I sat up like from a dead sleep. I mean, I did like a 90-degree sit up in bed, just like waking up and sitting up straight up at the same time, and looked at my phone on the bedside table, and it was 3:20. And I had this, like momentary, like, are my kids okay? Is my dad okay? Thinking of something metaphysical, that kind of thing where something's going on. And a minute later, this huge wall of wind that sounded like a freight train, sounded kind of like my Midwestern growing up, where tornadoes were regular, and you do get that sixth sense, that evolutionary sense, the hair standing up on your arms, and you go get in a bathtub or in a door frame if you can't make it to a bathtub. Thankfully, though, after that first real wall of the front coming through, it died down and I went back to sleep for a few hours.
I mean, honestly, it was probably the pressure change.
I think it was almost like a sonic boom type of
like
thing,
it
right?
hit you and you woke up from the pressure change and
Yes.
it came through. Yeah, I'd spent 2 summers in Indiana, and there was one summer where the tornado sirens went off, and a little one touched down on the lake of the camp I was at and flipped some boats over. But it's not fun when you come from the Pacific Northwest where you don't get those, and the kids from Indiana are freaking out.
Yes.
And it's like, oh boy.
Follow their lead.
This is not good.
Yeah.
This is not good. But anyway.
Follow them to the shelter. So we have a couple of friends with us this evening that are riding the wacky weather waves as well. Should we bring them on stage?
Yeah, absolutely.
All right.
So I will introduce Ellen. I was going to say that my cool segue to introducing Ellen Dorr, who is you have quite the title, Ellen.
It's Chief of Technology and Strategic Initiatives.
Right. Well, my segue into this was when I went to Indiana and I drove there the second time, I got to drive through your home state of Montana, and it took me 2 days because it was so big.
It's a big state.
It was quite large. But yes, welcome Ellen and Rachel.
Yes, and welcome Melissa Lim, someone who I have known for pretty close to 2 decades now. Really close to 2 decades now. Melissa has been one of the key technology leaders in Portland Public Schools in instructional technology for, I think, most of those years. And we have been elbow partners and cadre partners and co-conspirators over the years on moving technology adoption forward. And the reason why we have Ellen and Melissa with us this evening is that idea of moving big technology curves and big technology shifts. And we find ourselves in another one of these right now with I'm going to say a human-centered focus, and that approach that acknowledges that the change happens at different paces and in different ways for different groups of people and individuals. And so, Melissa, I'm going to turn it over and let you introduce yourself and your formal title right now and anything else you want to share. But I am so happy that you are able to join us tonight.
Thanks, Rachel. It's great to be here with you and Marcy and Ellen. So my title is Learning Technologies Program Administrator, and I used to be in the Information Technology Department. This school year, I was moved to the Teacher Professional Learning Department, which makes sense, and am continuing to focus on offering professional learning opportunities to our district staff and educators, and also doing some IT-related things like vetting digital resources and managing enterprise systems like Canvas, stuff like that. But still have a focus on professional learning, which I'm really happy about because that's probably the thing I love most about my job.
Yes. And you're so good at it. And Ellen, I get to watch you, maybe not as an elbow partner, but I get to visit in on the things that are happening. And I think I hear Melissa saying words that seem like they could have come from Ellen as easily.
But not from me.
But not from Marc. He doesn't care.
All right. Can I do something really quick? And I didn't mention this to anybody. We had an episode. Which episode was the All Roads Lead to Newburgh episode?
Maybe Corey's.
Yeah, it might have been. Okay, Melissa, I know you grew up in Portland. I grew up in Newburgh, and I went to school with some limbs. I mean, I'm sure it's a very long shot in the dark that you'd even be related or know them, but it was Jennifer and Jason Lim. I don't know if that is anybody associated with you, but we're fairly close together, Newburgh and Portland.
So interestingly enough, I don't know them, although I do have a cousin named Jason Lim, but he lives in Vancouver, BC. But I have never met another Lim in the Portland area.
Yeah, I grew up with them.
That's so
in
interesting.
Newburgh. Yeah.
All roads lead to Newburgh.
Or Portland.
Well, Melissa and I have a Newburgh connection because Tim Lauer was one of those raconteurs in the early years, and Tim ended up moving to Newburgh to be a principal at Mabel Rush and is still there now. Hi, Tim. But yes,
I thought you meant the school was still there. I was like, yeah, pretty sure the school's still there.
Yeah, the school's definitely still there. There's a really great Instagram account for it. And Melissa and I have spent, I don't know how many pizza nights at Tim's house over the years.
A lot.
A lot of pizza nights at Tim's house. So all roads lead to Newburgh. And
True.
Melissa's third cousins, who she hasn't met yet, who went to school there with Marc.
That's right. That's right.
Okay, plugged in time. And we're going to start on a little bit of a sad note because I want to do something a little outside of our norm. A couple of thoughts here. First of all, there's a lot surrounding this person who we lost this past week. And so I want to really focus on the celebration and remembering the genius and the kindness of this director, actor, human being. Rob Reiner and his wife were killed a number of days ago. And first of all, I was very sad to hear the news. My first Rob Reiner memories are probably Meathead on All in the Family. He went on to be an iconic director. And when I saw the Rotten Tomatoes list, I thought, oh, we're going to run down not all of them, but the top 7 movies that everyone will kind of have some sense of and even probably can quote some lines out of. So, Mr. Reiner, thanks for your gift of the movies you've left behind for us. Starting at number 7 was A Few Good Men. And this is one of the things that when people talk about Rob Reiner, they talk about the focus on dialogue and language and smart comedy, sometimes some slapstick. And so that's why when we think about these movies, I think there's an iconic quote, at least for 5 or 6 of them. And A Few Good Men would be,
you can't handle the truth.
You can't handle the truth.
Sorry.
Jack Nicholson.
That was very enthusiastic that I threw out there.
Yeah, I would
Very
like you to
much
do it
like the movie.
with intention, please. I'm sorry. Number 7 is A Few Good Men.
I'm looking at Ellen. It's her turn to.
You want the truth? You can't handle the truth.
Nice. Okay. Number 6 is When Harry Met Sally.
I want to shout out You've Got Mail, but that's not right.
Are we supposed to just shout out the line?
We can just shout out the lines.
I'll have what she's having.
I'll have what she's having.
Oh, sorry. I thought you meant the part that. Sorry, they came before that. That was like, I'm not going to do that.
Thank you for that.
I would like to shout out Billy Crystal's sweater, but it's not a line, but his sweater in When Harry Met Sally.
Sweater's iconic. And then my favorite line, obviously the one that, comes to mind first is the I'll have what she's having. And that was actually Rob Reiner's mom who delivered that line, by the way. Little movie trivia. But my favorite is when Bruno Kirby and Carrie Fisher are in the scene in the house and they're splitting up. There's a conversation about the wagon wheel table.
Yes.
Bruno Kirby loves the wagon wheel table and Carrie Fisher does not. And then Billy Crystal's like, it's a stupid table. And so at the denouement of that whole little section, Carrie Fisher says, and I have to read it so I make sure I don't mess it up. I want you to know that I will never want that wagon wheel coffee table. And it's just delivered so deadpan that it's the one I kind of go back to each time on that one. All right, number 5, The American President. And this one I don't know line by line, but it is when Michael Douglas is at the podium. I'm trying to remember the president's name. Andrew Shepard or something like that.
Is this
I'm
the
Andrew.
one? Yeah. Okay, I have seen that movie. Is that who's his co-star in that? That's
Annette Bening.
Yes. Okay. Thank you.
Yes.
Sorry.
Oh my gosh. I was like thinking of Dave with Kevin Kline.
There's so
in
I was
there
thinking
too.
of that too. But the one you're talking about is the one where he makes the speech at the end that says basically he's going to fight back and not take the slamming, whatever, because he's a single man and has a love interest.
Yep. I am blah, 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 and I am the president, or I am your president is the line. I just can't remember the president's name right now. Okay, number 4 is less a quote and probably more a scene. And I did not know that Rob Reiner had directed this. The movie is Misery, the Stephen King novel, and all I can see is the block of wood between the ankles.
Well, at least what's it called? What is it? At least in the book, I remember what it was called, but it was hobbling.
Yes.
It was hobbling somebody.
Yeah. Number 3, Stand By Me. And for me, that's the song and the whole storyline and the train tracks. Number 2 is Princess Bride.
Well, there's so many good lines out of that one. I mean, anybody
No
want
more rhymes.
I was going to say that
anybody
one,
want
Marc.
a peanut?
Anybody want a peanut?
Well done, team. Well done. And then As You Wish, I think is probably the other one that might come to mind.
What's an
In
ROU?
the late, yes, the ROUSs. In the late 90s, I worked at a independent video store, and that was one of the movies I would play all the time because we had something going. And that one was like, you can't go wrong.
Yeah, if you're going to put it on repeat, that would be a good one. And Columbo, Peter Falk is so great as the grandfather in that. I always forget about it until the opening. It was when Ellen was saying that you'd put it on repeat, and you kind of forget about it because it's so
right.
ancillary to the
Savage,
story.
right?
And then Fred
Mhm.
Savage is the grandson. Yep.
Yes, please continue. I know. Yeah, please continue. But I have some thoughts. I'll get to those in a second.
About number one.
Well, no, number one, I know what it is. And I, hands down, was the only thing I could even think of as soon as you said we were going to do this. So
Yes. And so I think we might also have the same quote. And number one is, this is Spinal Tap.
this one
This
goes
one
to
goes
11.
to 11.
There we go. And it's, I forget that Spinal Tap is, in addition to just being a great movie and so much fun, it's hard to remember sometimes that it is critically in the top tier of the Critics' Choice on Rotten Tomatoes after all these years, has been since the beginning, just because of the casting, the pacing, the dialogue,
So good.
the script, the plot.
I mean, I still quote that movie. We quote it at work all the time. Our superintendent loves that movie. And then our past executive director of secondary knows one of the drummers who have all died under mysterious conditions. But he actually knows somebody who was in the film. And yeah, it was really something. Okay, I have found a list of other Rob Reiner movies, which I would like to insert some of my own favorites or things that I remember. I don't know why I remember this movie so much, but Albert Brooks Defending My Life.
Yes, that one's in the top 10.
Oh, was it? Okay.
Yep.
And The Sure Thing was John Cusack.
Yes.
I did not realize that was a Rob Reiner movie. I just remember seeing that when I was, I think, in high school or middle school. And he was in the semi. I think he got a ride in a semi to go find his Sure Thing. Yeah, crazy stuff. But I did also see Spinal Tap too. That was very recent.
I have not yet.
It's short, but it's great. It's such a throwback to the original Spinal Tap. And I was talking about it with somebody yesterday, that it's all of them in their new careers because they had to move on from Spinal Tap, and one of the guys has a cheese shop and sells cheese.
Yes. Yep. And I think Spinal Tap 2 finishes out the top 10 in terms of the Rotten Tomatoes list. So nicely done.
Really? It made the
So
top
we
10?
actually did end up with the top 10. Yes. And as we're sitting here talking, I realize we gave Melissa a chance to say hello and expand more on what she does. And Ellen, similar to our board podcast when we were together in Washington, I think we need to go back to you and say hi again. Marc did a quick intro and gave us some of the basics, but why don't you talk a little bit about the work that you do?
I'll tell a little my background too, because I like the trajectory matters for what I do now. So I was a middle school teacher for 11 years and teacher for 12 years. Started a year of subbing, which was a great way to learn lots of different things of what to do, what not to do. And then after 11 years in the middle school classroom, I moved to central office as the learning technology manager, largely in part because I was able to figure out a way in my classroom to use technology really strategically. And not because I actually cared that much about technology, but because I cared a lot about student learning and thinking about like agency for students, differentiation, modalities that worked for students on different days, like different ways for them to have entry points and ways to demonstrate their learning. And I thought tech could be a really good tool. So I did that work as a learning technology manager for a year, sort of like coaching some schools around creating those models and managing some of the accounts. And then I moved to Renton, where I've been for the last 10 years, first as a director of digital learning. So I had a coaching team that I helped to support. And then about 8 years ago, I moved into the chief position, where I get to help support our entire technology services team and infrastructure, and do some other sorts of projects like migration to a new SIS, helping to facilitate a committee to redraw elementary school boundaries, and a number of things directly connected to learning and teaching because of my background. So I like, kind of the range of problems I get to help to support. And I also think moving forward collectively is the best way to move forward. So I think that I heard that in kind of what Melissa was saying as well.
Absolutely. And I think if we were to do it even more formally, we would introduce you as Dr. Ellen Dorr. speaking of those long-term beliefs that you've had, culminated also in getting your doctorate of education.
During COVID, because I didn't
That's
have enough to do.
That's right. Yes.
And
yes.
I love to talk about this too. Melissa, Ellen went to Reed. So
Oh,
there's your
cool.
Portland link.
Yeah,
Mhm.
there we go.
Yes. Yes. So, Melissa, what do you all have cooking in Portland Public right now? And anything that you want to touch on as we talk about how we make change and how we move large technology systems change forward?
That's a good question. So AI, of course, is big.
I don't know what you're talking about. What is
Yeah,
this
I
AI
know.
thing?
It's it's been in the background for a little bit and finally just burst onto the scene. And we had tried to start some work with AI about 3 years ago when Don Wolf was our chief technology officer. And we started it, and then I think it was when Don was transitioning to retirement. And so then things sort of just came to a standstill. And I don't think the district was really ready to ask the big questions and decide what was it that we wanted to focus on. And so nothing happened for a couple of years. And finally this year, when we restarted the work, and I think that's one of the benefits of my move to the academics and instruction side of the district is that I have more collaborators directly involved with instruction and the district continuous improvement plan. And so all of those things sort of came together, and it's like the perfect time to do this work. We've got the perfect people involved, and we're able to actually create a roadmap after working with some folks from MESD and Clackamas ESD. They've been hosting a ton of AI learning events. And so we participated in some of those and we're able to get a direction. And I feel pretty good. We got a roadmap. We've got some different work groups and committees started. And that was what I was at before coming here. We actually had a district advisory committee this evening, and we had a guest speaker, and I can talk a little bit about that. I don't know if I need to do it right now or wait until maybe a different question
Yeah,
comes up.
we can. I'm going to use this moment then to interject a question. How did you end up settling on? Let me back up. I assume that you have students in Portland Public Schools who have been using AI, the ones that are not against it, because that is a growing number who have some questions and don't want to use it.
Mm-hmm.
Are there student voices in this work? Or are you largely focusing on that? Let's get the adults in the room on the same page first.
We're going to focus on the adults first. But one of the things that happened at tonight's meeting is we had a guest speaker, a graduate of Duke University. And so I think what he was talking about was a little eye-opening to some of the people in the group in terms of what he thought students should be doing and what adults should be doing to help students. So we are focusing on the staff and adults first, but we do have a draft handbook that does address staff and student AI use.
I've been in 3 meetings this week where the topic of students really starting to speak out has come into the conversation and different reasons for concern about it. And so as I was listening to Melissa and thinking about the work that everyone has been doing so far, just when some districts are at the point where teachers are feeling like really rock solid, right? Then there's this additional little twist in it in terms of finding that student agency and voice on those who have some pretty serious concerns about why they might not want to use AI and why they might not want it to be part of class and school.
I mean, I fully expect that to happen once we engage students more, when we get past this teacher and educator piece. But I think we'll also be bringing more student voices into the mix once we finish the educator and staff piece.
Yes. It's like a water cycle.
Yeah, exactly.
Yes. Ellen, is AI taking a lot of bandwidth in Renton?
Yeah, I mean, we're in a similar place in that we're starting with staff and educators. We have a tech advisory, or it's called Renton Technology Coordinating Council. And every year, we meet 5 times a year. Every year at the first meeting, we sort of crowdsource, like, what is the interest? What are things that people want to be digging into this year? What do we want to be paying attention to? And 2 years ago, AI was one of the top categories, one of the top areas, but we had so little, I would say, like expertise in the room and experience in the room that it was more around, should we consider adopting policy? And then fortunately, OSPI at the state level came out with guidance informed by some work that Chris Hagel was doing and some other people who were more at the forefront. And so we were able to take that guidance and compare it with our responsible use policy, our digital citizenship ideas. And we were like, oh, this aligns super well. We did sort of like a breakdown of different parts of the guidance with our resources. And so our tech advisory said we should include this in our responsible use policy. And then AI was not a topic last school year, but it was a topic again this school year that our tech advisory raised up to the top. And we were fortunate to find a partnership with PlayLab, where we have a grant from Amazon to pay for a large amount of that, which is great because we don't have a lot of capacity right now, having undergone significant budget reductions the last 2 years. Like, we were a little stretched trying to think about how would we support adult learning around this when we barely have capacity to do all the things that we need to do. So we've been super fortunate with that partnership. But yeah, starting with helping adults understand what is AI. Like, one of the things I love that PlayLab says is like, it's math, not magic. And helping people just really have a better grounding and thinking about using a more curated data set. All of those things I think have been really beneficial for us and, in line with what people are talking about and wondering about. So it's been great to have more structure than we would have been able to develop ourselves.
Marc, do you guide the technology adoption work for Olympia?
Yeah,
Do you have a
so
team?
we also have a technology advisory committee. We meet quarterly. So we is it quarterly or every other month? We have 3 technology TOSAs in our department. They chair that group. I try to steer as clear a bit as possible because apparently I talk too much, is what they tell me all the time. So I attend and I try to say as little as possible, but that's more of a communication avenue and feedback loop type of group about things that we need input on either urgently or long term. But we haven't engaged in the AI conversation. What we have been doing for the last 3 years, I would say, is the TOSAs came to me and said, can we start teaching teachers about this? Can we start exploring together with the teachers? And I said, of course, so long as, our teaching and learning department's okay with it. And they have since done hours and hours and hours of professional development around the free tools that are out there. We came in, apparently in the state of Washington, we came in #1 with Magic School for their free version of it. Apparently we use it a lot. We just don't want to pay for it. Sorry, Natalie in Magic School, who sponsored the episode 2 episodes ago. But the one nice thing we have in Olympia is in the collective bargaining agreement for our certificated staff, they have 6 self-directed technology hours. So that's already built into the budget. So we don't have to scrape for funds for those types of things. And that has helped quite a bit. I know that I would say probably over 50% of our teachers have gone through at least one PD session around AI with our tech TOSAs, and they are very, very good. It's a more of an exploratory learning how to use this in your classroom. And our district refuses, at least so far, has refused to adopt board policy around AI. We believe that it belongs in the student handbook, that it is the guidance is provided there because, and I'm sure this is true for everybody in this podcast, I've been hit up by at least a dozen teachers who have said, you need to write board policy around AI. And that's all they say. And I'm sitting there going, okay, what camp are you in? Because you think I'm in your camp because you think everybody thinks like you. And usually it's to block AI. Like, we shouldn't be allowing this. But there's other people that are saying it should be wide open and used. I am very much of the standpoint, Chris Hagel and I talked about this a long time ago. We both are not interested in policy. We're interested in just academic integrity. If that's really your issue, is we talk about academic integrity in the handbook. And that's where teachers can have the teeth of, if I'm saying don't use it in the classroom, don't. But yeah, I mean, that's, I feel like maybe you guys are a little bit more formalized in your approach. Yeah. But if you know me, that's just, it's not how I roll usually.
Right. So I wanted to bring Marc into the conversation also, because thinking of this AI that's in front of us right now and the structures that the different districts have in place for navigating a change like this, does this follow, and not just AI, but Melissa and Ellen, you've both been in this work for decades. What do you notice that is the same and different? Because we can have really firm recipes, but the ingredients change, or ovens change, an old oven versus a new oven. What are there things that you
Does that make a difference?
Sometimes.
I'm just kidding.
Sometimes. What are your observations as we head into the next technology revolution? I hope that's making sense. I'm trying to glean not necessarily what we're just doing about a specific project, but that impact on people and that change management at a global level.
I'm also going to answer this question because I was a tech TOSA as well, but I'll go last.
Or we'll have Marc go first so that Ellen and Melissa can kind of think.
I already know my answer. And
Okay, go for it.
I think it's a little bit glib is probably the wrong term, but the thing that never changes are the teachers. You are always going to have the teachers that are, I don't need to know this. I don't need to learn this. The way I do it is just fine. Their initial reaction is to stick their heads in the sand because they just don't need to do this right now. And that is one of the most difficult things I ever encountered as a technology TOSA in trying to bring any sort of change into its school district. And in leading the technology TOSAs in the Olympia School District, that is what the 3 TOSAs I have become masterful at, is really working with all levels of teachers, because no matter what, you will always have that set of teachers who are just like, I don't need to do this. This is not for me. And I'm just going to pretend that it's not happening. So that's my constant. That's the constant I always see.
So there are those teachers. Is every teacher in that group?
No, I mean, obviously you have your range, you have your high flyers, and I'd say the bulk of the teachers are in between the high flyers and the I'm dragging my feet people. It's hard to rein in your top and your bottom, right? It's hard to rein in the people who are dragging their feet to try and motivate them to learn something. It's also hard to rein in your high flyers who want to go off on their own and maybe teach themselves some bad habits. That is a thing too. So sorry, I hope I didn't steal anybody's thunder on that one.
No. So Melissa and Ellen, in terms of like that range of tight and loose, right? Like really prescribing things, trying to mush the two more closely together versus letting early stages be organic and then kind of following along as first followers. Is there a culture or a vibe in your districts that kind of have it leaning one way or the other, prescribed versus more organic?
Go ahead, Ellen.
Yeah. I would say we're definitely more on the organic side, but I would put some like a little bit of a different perspective on some of what I see as some of the constants. I agree, like learners come to us in different places. And I think one of the things that is a constant for teachers is that they're overwhelmed, they're stretched. And teaching is incredibly complex. So adding something to the plate feels hard, like always. But I think one of the things that I encounter a lot with technology adoption or technology requests is that people they oversimplify a little bit because like there's a hope that this is like a solution for a lot of things. So some of it is, hey, what tool should I be using? And my question always is, well, what are you trying to do? Like we always need to start with learning goals first, and then we can match some tools to it. And that is very hard for people when I keep asking what they're trying to do. They're like, well, I need an iPad. I'm like, nope, what are you trying to do? Like, let's keep going back. So that's one. The other is that I think sometimes with technology, we get into this, like, is it good or bad? And always it's in how we use it. So the question is never AI, yes or no, cell phones, yes or no. It's like, how and for what purpose, and then how do we talk about it, how do we think about it, how do we keep grounded in that learning, and then let's go with the people who are enthusiastic and lead learners, and then let's also ask them, how do we help other people have access to this? Since you were able to lean forward, what learnings are there that we can help other people use? I mean, similar to like we piloted a teacher classroom management sort of filtering tool. And so we asked people, like, what are all the considerations and cautions? We asked students as well, what did you hate? What was good? And then we put that together as some of our supporting resources for like, hey, here's what kids have said about this. Like, talk to them about why you're using it. So I would name some of those as some of the constants of technology adoption.
Ellen, oh, I'm sorry, Melissa.
No, go.
I was just going to say, Ellen, have you primarily been on the software and instruction side, or have you done hardware adoptions as well?
We've done hardware as well. Okay. I think the thing that I heard with some of the hardware, like to overgeneralize, but some of it was like, well, I don't know that we need these interactive flat panels because not every teacher is going to use all the features. And the analogy I would say was like, well, my mom has a smartphone and she uses it more or less like a flip phone. But that doesn't mean she shouldn't have a smartphone. Like she can learn some of these other features of it.
Yes. Build for growth.
Yeah, exactly.
Yes. So Melissa.
Yes. So I agree with what Marc said about you have those same core of teachers that anything new comes, they don't want to talk about it, don't want to use it. And for whatever reason, I have this constant questioning of, as educators, we should be continuously learning as much as we can, because our job is to prepare students for their lives after they're done with school. And whether that's high school, whether that's college or graduate, postgraduate work. So I don't understand this saying, no, I don't want to even explore this, because the more I talk to kids and students and like this university graduate today, it's so clear that even if you have a personal opinion about AI and you don't want to use it because of environmental impact, or you don't believe in what it does, whatever the reason, that doesn't mean that you can turn that off and not make students aware of what this is that exists right now that affects pretty much everyone's lives, whether you're using generative AI or whether you're just using AI that's built into, seems like, every system that affects your daily life. And
Absolutely.
so that part of it is really baffling to me. And it just reminds me of it's like there was some EdSurge article about, here's the next industrial revolution. It's like, yep, here it is again. And why is it like this? I don't understand why people don't see this pattern. And it's like, it's time to step it up.
Yes. And I think, Melissa, to your point, for the teachers that are maybe not the rabbits, not the first followers, that are in that middle space, what I heard, and I'm going to tease out, is that idea of a resistance to even creating space for students to be curious.
Yes.
So it's one thing if the teacher feels like, oh, I need to learn alongside my students, or I really need to go find Ellen, or I need to find Marc, I need to find Melissa and get a little additional support so I understand this. It does seem to have an emotional element with it. And I've watched this over several generations of change, where it's not just the individual, but it is that the blinders on in terms of creating space and a curiosity lab for the students. And
I would agree with that.
So is this a time that we can ask a little bit more about the speaker, the alum who came back to speak? Yeah.
So my team and we had attended Invent Ed from the Lemelson Foundation, which was hosted in Portland this year. And we met this university student, Jonathan Walker, who, if you may have heard about him from when, he just graduated from Duke. So prior to going to Duke, he was in the news because he had been accepted to 27 different colleges and gotten $4 million in scholarships. And so we met him, and then we asked him, can you come to an AI advisory committee meeting and talk to educators and district staff? And so he created a presentation and gave his viewpoint as to, he used to think AI was cheating. But then he realized, so he had this tension between using AI and not using AI, and realized one of the things that I got from his talk is that, AI is a tool, and how you introduce it to students really shows them how they're able to use it and how they end up using it. And it's which made me think about, you really can't just ignore it and say, I want to pretend this doesn't exist. And so he had some really good points about using it in work, using it in your personal life, and using it for learning.
Really, when you think about it that way, and if it is, I apologize for not being up on my library media literacy skills. It really should be in the library media literacy skills area that we, in Washington at least, are required, or maybe it's nationally, are required to teach our students every year. Because as educators, we can do exactly what you just said, which is put the guardrails up and let students learn how to use it appropriately. Safely. And that is true of the internet, and searching and just doing what we've done for years and years is just turn kids loose on the internet, which is now, we realize, not a great idea. And I do wonder if AI and some component of AI will end up in a lot of those lessons as part of just something that kids are now expected to learn.
Right. And it's really, one other thing he emphasized was really showing, what does learning with AI look like? And then it just leads to what you just said, Marc. It's it can look like this, and so that means this. Or, chatbots are not real. They make you feel emotional things, but there is no person there.
Right. Those are some of the scary when we talk about students
Yeah.
right now. For me, the chat bots, the character AI, the physical and mental safety and possibility of harm right now is a space that feels a little different, even in the early internet days, Marc, right? Minus, as long as at the schools, we block things like porn and content that's harmful to minors. But AI, it does feel a little different than just, blocking static content on a growing internet.
I mean, I did ask our district librarian, we were talking about this same thing, and she said that the thing that makes it different for her is the politics of it and how it can be used in this really horrible, negative way. I was like, yeah, I don't disagree with you on that.
I'm going to drop in just a couple of things. Melissa and I were on an Oregon AI collaborative workshop last week. I think it was last week, Melissa. And in Central Oregon, we had a group of about a dozen people together in person. And then we joined virtually with the other pods around the state. And a couple of things on our Central Oregon group. One was this growing number of students who are starting to have some serious concerns on multiple things about AI and being more vocal about it in the schools. The second part is the tension around, speaking of the PPS alum and the Duke student, there's also this worry that I have about the teachers and actually maybe for whole schools that are reluctant to engage in some AI literacy. I wonder if we're doing a disservice as they head towards college, because what we understand about a lot of the university classes is that the AI is a study partner and is an aid to be able to go deeper and to do higher volume or better quality on a body of work. And so I think there's some conversations to be had there.
There's so much more that is around this topic of change management and introduction of applications to your school districts. I have my low and I have my high, right? My high is the 600 interactive flat panels that we just put in over the last 3 years. That was just such an incredibly positive experience. It's the best initiative that I have ever been part of. The most difficult, but that's not what I want to talk about. I want to talk about the most difficult one, and I want to compare notes with you because I believe we all have LMSs in place. And I will say that putting in an LMS was the most difficult thing I have ever handled from a professional development standpoint. And the reason for that is with AI, with an interactive flat panel, with new Chromebooks, with whatever, there's excitement around a new piece of technology. There's excitement around this thing that's going to do something new and flashy and cool. And you just don't really get that with an LMS. You get new things and you get features that you don't traditionally have in a brick and mortar classroom, but the flash just isn't there. And so that was probably the most difficult implementation that I think I've seen our TOSAs go through in the Olympia School District. And I thought they did a fantastic job. It just took a really long time because that level of high flyers was much smaller and that level of drag my feet was much larger just because it wasn't super appealing when we rolled it out. Similar for you, or were we just crazy?
I don't know. I feel like the context or like the timing of COVID matters as well, because it was like such a forcing function for people to have to learn how to use an LMS. We had an LMS available. We had some teachers using it. And then it was not an option not to use it, really.
Right. I would say that when COVID rolled around, we would have been asking a lot of our students, all of our secondary students at that point in time said they encountered the LMS at least once a day. It wasn't every single teacher, but they had a teacher every day who was using it. So we were in a pretty good, that's the rating I had of a successful implementation of our LMS was the students were actually engaging with it. Every student was at the secondary level every day. But again, it took 6 years to get there. We implemented Schoology quite a long time before COVID. And so we made the switch to remote learning pretty quickly at the secondary level. But I guess the question for all three of you is, did you implement, I know Ellen just said no, but did you implement your LMS for COVID specifically, or did you have it in place? And what did your usage look like in acceptance? Sorry.
Implemented Google Classroom prior, and then we turned it off during the pandemic. And that was, people were up in arms about that because they loved Google Classroom and how easy it was to use, but we had too many systems. And so we had implemented Canvas prior to that. And it was really our virtual scholars program that set the lead with using Canvas. And then we had some pilot classrooms using Canvas, but there was never, I don't know how this happened, but there was never this district-wide implementation of Canvas. And there was a lot of on-demand learning, and we would do workshops. It didn't feel like we were doing them all the time to me prior to the pandemic. So I feel like it was a lot of pilot classrooms, and then those teachers really just got into it, and we were using the teacher leaders to help. And then we got rid of Google Classroom, and we got Seesaw for elementary during the pandemic, and now that's gone. So Canvas is the only LMS we have right now, and we're looking at Synergy too.
I guess I could have rephrased this question in a way of not being your LMS. I made a gross assumption there that everybody struggled with your LMS adoption. I guess the question could have been, what did you struggle with? What implementation was the most difficult one, and how did you get over it?
So, Marc, you were reading my mind earlier when you said, my favorite was the interactive panels. One of my questions for this group was, what's been your favorite change that you've helped manage, a transition that you've led or been a part of in a meaningful way? And then what's the one that you're like, I wish I didn't have to have anything to do with that? If you're, there might be political sensitivity.
Well, I mean, again, I come back to, it was the most difficult one that ended up successful for us. I mean, it just took time. But I guess answer either question.
Yeah, I mean, I think one of the ones that, like, one of my favorites is when I got to Renton, our student to device ratio at some of our high schools was 6-1. Like, there were students who were not touching a device unless they had one at home. And going into the pandemic, we were 1-1 at all of our secondary schools with take home already in place.
Mm-hmm.
And I think, and I'm not saying the device solves everything, obviously, but I think there is a lot that access allows us to be able to do. And it gives students a lot of agency. And I think that has been one of my favorite changes, is because it does push on teacher practice. Like, if your students are ahead of you on knowing how to do some things, how do you then still create this learning culture in your classroom? And how do you leverage student expertise? Like, one of the teachers who is in our AI group said that she was showing her students her app and was like, give me feedback. Why do you think this isn't working? So she's been trying to, learn alongside them. I think, my favorite implementation has been one where we're putting things directly in the hands of students.
Such a big equity piece of that too. Just huge.
Yeah, I think that student device piece has been a really big benefit, but our district now is moving back to carts. Like, so many teachers would rather have a cart than be responsible for kids taking home devices, which makes me think, how can we really focus on learning culture better? Like you said, Ellen, I love that's so important, but I don't know, that's a big issue. And I would say my favorite was moving to Google. I mean, from Outlook, first class, then Outlook.
If you ever hear the mail ding from first class, it just sends a shiver up your spine.
Everyone has post-traumatic stress about that sound, like universally. Sorry, first class, but it's a thing.
And yes. I mean, I love the Google ecosystem, especially for schools, just for the collaborative aspects of it. But I really think they're doing a lot of cool labs with AI that just make me, it's like, dang, that is so cool. And it's like, I need to have more time to play with that, but I can instantly see, it's like, I can know how I can use that.
Mm-hmm.
So fun.
And one of the smashes of this AI season, I think, is
Notebook LM.
Yes.
That's what I was thinking too, especially if you're thinking about like the environmental impact. Okay, use Notebook LM and you can decide what your data set is. You're not pulling from the entire internet. So that actually uses less data. Like, there's some less energy. There are ways that you can make those individual decisions around which tools you use and how you use them.
Yeah. Melissa, those Google years were good years. I'm a little biased.
I was just going to say, Rachel, I was talking to Corinne Alberg, and it's like, we should bring back that Google Summit because I think people would be so into it again.
We have been chatting about just that, so stay tuned.
Yay.
Yeah. Well, we're getting the band back together.
All right. Cool.
Yep. Yes.
Another adoption I'm excited about is getting my tech team to use Google for live collaboration.
Yes.
Like, we can't use some other products. I'm not going to name them, but they don't work. very well. If
It's
your
just not the
goal is
same.
live collaboration.
Yes, especially in terms of project planning, meeting notes.
Yes, 100%.
Life changing.
Yes.
We have some that are 15 years old, one doc.
Yes.
Yes. Control F anytime. So student information system, right? The longest one that we've had for, again, a number of years. And if it's like, remember we had that attendance issue once before, and we do a Control F and there's like 67 mentions of the word attendance, and we put a second word in there that's related to the thing we're seeing. And it is like our external brain or our, treasure chest of, instead of having to crawl through emails or random Google searches on these products. And so that Google Doc is like a library in Alexandria in terms of its value to us.
So amazing. Can I tell about one cool use of Notebook LM that I just saw yesterday? So the use case is to create a notebook about yourself, and that's what you present at a job interview, and the employer can just ask all these questions in the chat. I was like, that is brilliant.
That is brilliant.
It is.
I love it.
Yes.
So great.
Talk about curating your sources.
Exactly.
I think this connects back to like what we were talking about in terms of like what's hard about adoption or what can be super powerful, and it keeps coming back to purpose. So like what we used to frame with our digital learning coaches is like, we're not teaching people where to click, but why. And we're not even doing the where to click. I mean, we are doing some of the where to click, but like the why is what gets people tied into it. Like you're not going to learn a learning management system just because someone told you have to learn a learning management system. But if you are like, I want to give my students better feedback, I want to be able to do that more quickly, I would like my grades to sync in this way. Like there are some things that then help you get into like, okay, it'll be worth my time to invest this because that why matters so much.
Yes. Okay. So looping back to the human part, and you've all touched on this. What's one of your cheat codes? What's something that's been a like pocket strategy? Doesn't take a lot of work. Any little things that you feel are sneaky and tricky that you're like, haha.
I think when I'm thinking about
That was a bad question on my part. I'm sorry.
No, I have my answer. I'm just waiting.
one that I'm thinking about is helping everyone, like framing everyone as an expert. So that like, I'm thinking about when we had our first one-to-one middle school and people were like, well, who's going to teach us how to do these things? I was like, well, let's crowdsource. Like we've got expertise in this room. Like different people could be the leads on these different things. And then we've sort of continued that model with like our teacher leaders, our technology integration specialists. They have a great like email thread where someone is like, hey, how do you do this? And then someone else is like, I think it's this. I made a PDF. So having like empowering people in that way so that everyone is responsible and like accountable, but also super energized by collective learning rather than expert stance kind of thing.
Yeah.
Sorry, singular expert stance versus like collective expert stance.
That's a good one. I would agree with that. And then I would say, I think if I narrow it down, I would say just creating a learning environment where failure is okay and it's okay to say, I don't know, and modeling that as much as possible with myself to other people and trying to make things really fun. That is really important to me.
Yeah.
Learning is fun because if it is not fun, then I sort of sometimes think it is not worth learning.
Well, I mean, you just described what we should be doing as teachers with students. It doesn't matter if it's adults.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter if it's technology.
Right.
Yeah.
The teacher has to be willing to fail in front of the students to set the model and the example and learn along with the students, whether they're children or adults. And it has to be fun. I mean, people have always asked, why were you, I only was in the classroom for 4 years before I was a TOSA for 6. And I run into my students because I live sort of near where they went to elementary school. And I still get parents and students who find me and go, you were my favorite teacher. And I'm like, why? And they're like, because it was fun to be in your class. We don't remember what we learned, but we just enjoyed coming to school. And that was the whole point was, if you don't want to be there, then you're not going to learn.
Right.
And so that's, that is kind of the art of teaching, of how to engage those students and make them want to be there. Sorry to go off on that, but that was your thing.
I agree.
And Melissa, I've gotten to see you in action, like a lot of hours over the years. And I suspect that Ellen and Marc are similar, but what I really appreciated about you and learned from you is you got people active from the beginning. The And it is that spirit of fun, but also doing something, breaking something, remaking it, learning from it. And
yeah, that's important to me too.
I think that's a high value in that learning environment.
So my cheat code is I'm going to move away from the adult learners and the students. I'm going to go with my team, because one of my personal areas of pride is I believe that I have a good team. I believe that my cheat code with my team is that everybody is treated as an equal, and they know it, and that they are, whatever they say is going to be heard as an equal, and that no idea is basically stupid, because I am the person in our cabinet who throws out every single idea that comes to mind. It just spews out of my mouth. And a lot of times I get eye rolls, and every now and again somebody goes, I'm like, I don't really know where that came from, but it just happened. So yeah, I mean, that has been my cheat code, is when things are getting tough for somebody in our department, when somebody feels like their value isn't there, it's that conversation of you matter. We all matter. What you bring to the table is just as important as what I bring to the table. We need to work together and just listen to each other. And that's just how we maintain a positive and functional team. And I think, well, not to get into it too far, but we are probably the department that has the most retention in the Olympia School District at this point in time. So,
So it matters.
It's a point of pride, And it's
sounds...
not me that says it. It's other people in our department that say it in our department meetings all the time. We just like being around each other.
And it sounds similar to Ellen, who started us off with this idea of we're all the experts. We bring different frames and different lenses, but we are the experts.
Well, Ellen used the term empowerment.
And empowerment.
And that really resonated with me.
Yes. Yeah. Okay. So kind of winding us down.
It's only been an hour and 15 minutes.
I know.
Does that include all the technical problems?
It does not.
The recording is the hour 15.
No, the joke is that we've had a couple of podcasts that have gone 2.5 hours.
Yes. And Ellen, I'm watching Ellen because Ellen was like, no, we're not doing that.
My watch already gave me the hey, it's time for bed.
Exactly. So I want to be conscious of time. So what do you think is on the horizon? And I know sometimes this is hard. It's not like a what can't we see? Does AI consume the rest of our careers as we sit here in the ages and the bands that we're in?
How long are you giving me for the rest of my career? That's the
many decades. I don't know either.
Well, I mean, that's the point.
It seems like it's going to be AI.
I mean, 10 years ago, would we have sat there and gone, "Oh, it's going to be AI"?
No,
because we didn't know what it was.
We might have said VR headsets.
Yeah, we had the boxes.
Yeah.
Yes.
But that's the whole point of what we do, is we don't know what's next, and it's how adaptable are we, and how adaptable is our team to be able to instruct around that. But I am going to share, and this is a very serious thing, and I've had this thought ever since the first day I became a director in Bethel, which was 19 years ago, is, do I quit this job when I don't understand the technology that's happening around me? Because it's going to happen at some point. It's going to get to a point where you just look at it and you can't understand.
All right. So for the future Ellens and the future Melissas, if you had one piece of advice, I'm just going to keep asking talk show questions tonight.
I have been waiting for this question, Rachel, so I can say the answer of be curious.
Mine too.
Yes. That would be mine 3.
Be curious and not judgmental. Are we tying into our Believe It theme from Ted Lasso right now? Is that what's happening?
That could be.
I mean, there's a mug in our house that has Ted Lasso on it that says be curious and not judgmental.
Mine was going to be stay curious, honestly. Yeah.
Couldn't have ended this more perfectly.
Well, that actually wasn't going to be my answer, though.
Okay.
My answer is going to be,
Marc.
it was going to be love your people.
Oh, that too.
I mean, I think that when I leave this position in Olympia at some point in time, I'm going to leave behind a team of people that I have loved and that love each other. And somebody needs to come in and support that and not tear it apart. Otherwise, it all falls apart.
And then circling back to change management, it is also being curious about how to love those teachers who are the ones who are like, you can't make me do that thing, right? That it's a very valid frustration that we feel, and holding space for it and then saying, for those kids, we got to keep working on this. And that's a good answer, Marc.
Well, it
is. Just own it, accept it.
I totally
graciously. Yes.
What I would like to say now, and this is not for this episode, but it will be for one of our future episodes, where I think the next step of this conversation is ROI. Now that we've done these change management things, how do we know that they're working? How are we measuring that they're working? And Rachel's making a face right now, but I do think that sometimes our stakeholders need to know that things are actually working. And I see Rachel's face and she's grimacing a little bit. You don't agree?
No, I think it's a valid question.
Oh, that's all you have to say.
Period.
I think it's really complicated.
I think it's incredibly complicated. And I think if you asked all four of us how we do this process, we all have different ways of doing it, whether it's just going to classrooms and observing or listening or formally surveying or looking at metrics from students' performance. I would love to have a bit of a group think within ACPE or, through the podcast of how are people doing it and get some better ideas of how I'm doing it now. So
it's a good question.
It's a thought.
It is. And it's complicated.
Very.
Yes.
But,
and the biggest kind of grimacing that I was doing was because I believe in the macro global technology adoption curve, and the things that don't have return on investment, they just die away slowly. Now, in education, we might be a little different because we pay for things for too long, or we try to force people to use things for too long when they're not being effective. But if we look at the kind of overall market that education sits in, I think there's a natural kind of like weaning out.
But I think there's a part of return on investment when we don't implement something well. I mean, we all sat here and talked about how we've done such a great job. We all have our failures too.
What?
And, maybe it was a piece of equipment that really should have been the thing, and we just didn't do a great job implementing it, and it really wasn't. So I don't know. It's just I would like to have that conversation, Rachel, if we can have that at some point in time.
Put it in the doc.
I will.
Hey, there's this tool called Google Docs.
I'm pretty sure I put
Melissa
it in there
Lim
already.
would be really good in teaching us how to use it. Yes.
Well, yeah.
Yay. Another episode is in the can.
It is. It is. And we are off to winter break here pretty soon, right? Is the last week of classes for everybody? Two more days?
Yes. Yep. Ellen and Melissa. Sorry, Marc.
Oh, and I was going to say, and we're all very looking forward to the Seahawks win tomorrow. That's going to be great. And you're all like, what are you talking about?
I need to check my fantasy football lineup. I'm still in it.
Are you still in the playoffs?
Yeah. I may have just jinxed myself. I shouldn't have said anything, but yes, I am. For now.
Yep.
We're playing at work, and it is my favorite thing on Tuesday mornings. The trash talk in our Teams chat is so good.
Do you give more trash talk or receive more trash talk?
I am kind of a lead instigator, but I will trash talk against myself because I do not know what I'm doing.
Yeah, like they're going to trash talk the boss.
Oh my gosh. So speaking of football, I just want to celebrate my IU Hoosiers.
Very,
and Mendoza.
That quarterback, what's his last name is Mendoza?
Yeah.
Yeah. What a classy Heisman acceptance speech.
Oh my gosh. Yeah.
And I don't ever pay attention to the award shows, but I saw a lot of everybody needs to listen to this.
Yep.
And what a classy kid.
Yes.
Just very proud of him.
Yep. Okay, on that happy note, Ellen and Melissa, thank you very, very much. Happy December and holiday break and all of the things. And we'll see you in the new year.
And with that, we are unplugging for the holiday season.
Bye.
Bye.